Therefore, flashback to the recent past. In actuality, the unprecedented battle of warrior Tutarthu against Varmint Aztrumay began because of a chain reaction of seemingly unrelated events one after another. Starting at the unknown, Helsim Bakura her trench region. But before we dive into this intricacy of events and seemingly unrelated characters, we meet with Donhal Ruin Master, Wangvutem Napaselri. This was way before the unpredictable battle of warrior Tutarthu against Varmint Aztrumay. Master Napaselri was one of the senior officials from the revered Talablan Council, who all lived in the covert Talabrasic region. Thus this place would eventually become known as the first training field of the soon-to-be warrior Tutarthu. Because back at the dying planet Sharinth, although the then formerly known Professor Tutarthu was pacing through his steady career at the Akron Biomedical Medical Center, but because he had a heart for adventure and thrill-seeking, this was left completely untapped. Thus rebelling against his father's protection, built to allow him to succeed in his field of work, the motivated Varmint Tutarthu personally walked over to the nearby Escularine Cathedral, where he signed up for a free 5-year membership. Here Varmint Tutarthu attended weekly sermons and religious services, hoping to build a personal background in Escularine mythology. But this monotonous routine quickly became tiresome and tedious, ultimately leaving him to revoke this membership. Thus Varmint Tutarthu decided to embark on a journey away from his current one. He ordered a private starship from the former, currently deconstructed Anno attack fleet, in particular from the renowned Runch Repair Stellar Star Shop, where he purchased a retired and refurbished, but still fully operational Tuspine Row 11 starfighter, under the alibi of using this controversial instrument for personal purposes. After this acquisition of mocked personnel travel equipment, Varmint Tutarthu searched around the galactic and intergalactic map, hoping to discover a region or individual specialized in the martial arts. Therefore, after notifying his surviving family, in particular Khan Tutarthu, although he was initially confused because Varmint Tutarthu was already out into outer space, he decided to let him go because of his anxiety until he eventually returned. After Varmint Tutarthu decided to embark away from his dying home planet Sharinth, using his refurbished Tuspine starfighter, this was when he stumbled upon the Orangfanial region. Here, after carefully landing the increasingly fragile starfighter, Varmint Tutarthu arose from the pilot seat and saw the unclear outline of Benthanus and Yunsolsolm. However, before he could get a clear photographic memory of him, Bentsolsolm quietly vanished out of time at this solitary scene. Afterwards, Varmint Tutarthu decided to create a makeshift home using his new Netherite construction nanobots, or NCN. As these NCN nanobots were made to construct building materials using space-time, atomic manipulation at the nanoscopic scale. After he successfully built a new temporary home, he rested for some time in solitude. About a year and a half had passed since then, thus Varmint Tutarthu became a regular in the region, until one late evening, in the midst of a quiet, solitudeful Orangfanial sunset, Mr. Varmint decided to recollect his personal belongings and continue this adventure. Meanwhile, back in the shadows, the then former President Aztrumay decided to remain in this position of unknown for a certain period of time. That was when Aztrumay encountered a strange master, Master Von Teasing Amido Gowli. Thus, after Aztrumay met with Master Von Teasing, he intensely studied the difficult but effective fundamentals of Tingtao Malinga, a cruel but effective hand-to-hand combat martial art, deep within the hostile cave of Varmidian region. Therefore, once Aztrumay began and completed his secret training in the unknown cave of Varmidia, thus Aztrumay's first actual mission was located in the lost Odessa Sevsasi Topji outpost. He was instructed to take down the Biorgans who assumed supremacy over the lost station. Therefore, reclaiming this specific strategic position would benefit not only concurrently Master Von Teasing but the Kabahan species too. Therefore, years later on, the once indifferent but adventurous Aztrumay, stubborn and tied to the chokehold of his political background, had transformed into a fearsome warrior, commonly referred as Pescubalime, or Callahan warrior Aztrumay, or the fearsome Varmint Aztrumay. An age had passed since we last saw Aztrumay and Tutarthu. By this time, both individuals had become finessed formidable warriors of their martial arts. For Aztrumay, he became the Varanable of the Saraneth rebellion in the Togatonga region, whilst the evolving Tutarthu became Chief Renaneth of the Magaranan Task Force, a renowned military force of the Deheliran regiment found from his old dying home world. The battle began following the physical passing of Khan Tutarthu in the comfort of his own home on his own bed. However, Varmint Aztrumay was trained into being a stone-cold menace, was less than caring about his death, even as word quickly spread throughout the stellar system. Therefore, the currently vulnerable Chief Tutarthu battled the inner shadows left hidden from within, before fleeing into the Maricombe cave region, committing to a meditation session of balance temporarily from reality. Thus, Aztrumay saw an opportunity of vulnerability, deciding to use his upgraded Millennium C-50 starship to travel to where Tutarthu was meditating tensely. But he didn't simply attack him without a plan. As an experienced Varmint, Aztrumay went into low-key mode, planning to ambush Tutarthu. Funny enough, much to Aztrumay's unparalleled luck, Tutarthu happened to emerge from this sacred meditational sanctuary place. However, after his emergence, Tutarthu released his peaceful natural aura, awakening his more new powerful, theeruptionofmtkamiraklovis aura. Tutarthu momentously blasted them both out of the sky blue regional atmosphere, far, far away into the frigid starry night out in space. Before long, Aztrumay grew tired of this cat-and-mouse game, and releasing a Explosio Ignia Massa, changing their duetted chase. Afterwards, Tutarthu decided to teleport the two of them into the closed Proclaimin battle arena place, where they had plenty of room to play without guilt. Next, Aztrumay decided this was the perfect time to transform into his perfect battle form. Thus their battle of superiority and wit resumed, as Aztrumay chased after Tutarthu while attempting to bring him down, while he attempted to subdue him in return, destroying parts of the arena in the process. Finally, Tutarthu manages to corner down Aztrumay before the two exchange some heated words face to face. However, this didn't stop Aztrumay, because once he released himself, he transformed into his perfect battle form. In response, Tutarthu decided to transform into his Varong battle form, sensing this was not a simple duel, but a battle to the death. Afterwards, he unleashed the angels of Telulumna to cloud Aztrumay's vision. But Aztrumay was not fazed at all. Rather, while Tutarthu was too focused on him, he summoned Geordus, his personal magician of the elements, behind the Hyperficus Tutarthu. Then at the smirked command of Aztrumay, he allowed the stone agents of Geordus to send sharpshooter beams at the angels. Catching Tutarthu off guard, therefore, he dashed forward at Aztrumay and hit him in the face using his elbow out of revenge. Next, he used the same elbow and broke apart Aztrumay's commanding arm, halting his progress at the time temporarily. Therefore, the advanced-minded Tutarthu decided to seize Aztrumay's position of weakness in this battle without mercy. Thus he created a Gladiadian supernova storm, overshadowing the battle arena and destroying any remaining ego of Aztrumay, before ultimately ending the existence of Aztrumay himself in a blinding kaleidoscope of blinding colored lights. But then the exhausted Tutarthu collapsed on the spot immediately afterwards and fainted but remained conscious yet immobile. A short time had passed and the curious Geordus slowly approached the subconscious Tutarthu. Before ultimately letting go of their beef, he decided to help him, officially concluding the battle between Aztrumay and Tutarthu.